Prada Cup semi-finals, race number 2. Port entry, Rossa, Prada, Pirelli, starboard, American Magic, as we go onto the water and get our preparation underway for this one. Let's go onto the water with our very own Nathan Outridge, who's going to fill us on wind and tides and how these boats have set themselves up for the second race. Nate?
Well, the breeze is definitely lighter than what we had for the first race today. The current is starting to come in, so the right-hand side of the course has got a lot of current coming in against the wind, so look for it to be really choppy on that side of the course. And both boats have changed jibs. I think Rossa have gone up 1 size, American Magic gone up 2 sizes, so they're setting up for some lighter winds and looking forward to it.
Hey Nathan, what do you think about the mainsail size on American Magic right now? We're seeing some wind speeds dipping actually below 15 down into 13, 14 knots. What do you think?
I think if they had their choice and had enough time, they would change that main between races. It's definitely didn't pay off for them in that race. They've tried this backwind main several times with really no success. So, you know, my hunch would be get a bigger mainsail on for this dying breeze, but they didn't have enough time to change it, so they're on the back foot once again.
This is the race committee, so when the sampling period is complete, so we will be proceeding with this race.
Now, remembering that race with Ben Ainsley and American Magic before, where it was so right-hand dominant, what are you seeing now, and what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes?
Yeah, Shirley, you're spot on there. What we're seeing in the setup out here right now is really much the same as that first race of the round robins when Ben Ainsley was tacking up the right-hand side. It's windier on the right with this current, you know, going into the wind. I think on the left-hand side it's looking a little bit lighter and patchy, so windward end, start, and first attacker to the right is probably going to, you know, win out here. And interesting to see how Jimmy Spittle tackles this start. You know, that starboard entry I think has the advantage. So let's see how the port entry here combats that. Getting to that windward end I think is going to be critical. It's getting across the north where it's funneling down there is a race win I think at the moment.
2 minutes and 50 seconds and counting towards start of race number 2 in the semi-finals of the Prada Cup. That boat won the first one. This boat here, American Magic's got work to do, but most importantly, after this rebuild of what they've dubbed Patriot 2.0, they can only get better. I think this is the key now, Kenny. How much further do you think they push themselves now in race number 2? They need points.
They have to push themselves. They have to somehow get over the stigma of that big crash. They have to, Shirley, because they're running out of time. A windy day that they should, on paper, have had the advantage. Man, oh man, they gotta escape with at least 1 win.
Port entry now for Rossa, Prada. Look at the speed they are coming in onto their entry at 47 knots, Julie. That's just magnificent, isn't it?
And beautifully timed. Try doing that in your car. That is not easy.
What they're doing, Shirley and Stephen, is these teams are starting to really utilize slow speeds in the pre-start. You see both boards going down often on these boats, and that means they're trying to slow them down and not come up to these boundaries quite as quickly. It gives them more options. Here's Spittle going up and away off to the right side of our screen. Strategies are developing by the day, by the minute, and it's fascinating to watch.
Critical, surely, that Dean Barker and American Magic can actually win a start here. Crucial if they want to get on the board.
They must reboot, reset, just come out, get driven and passionate and aggressive in this start.
I still think they struggle with skittishness with this mainsail up. I know they're pushing to use it all the time, but it just has never looked right to me when they have that small main up. The starboard tack, Rossa trying to take this whole again.
Still left in 205. Behind us, milk it down. Lefty face.
Turning up. 2, 1, and turning.
Felt like a polite drive-by.
The start box is so small. I mean, there's still 30 seconds on the clock, and they have a lot of time to go.
Let's go. Let's go.
American Magic set up high over the ley line. They're going to come down. Are they going to attack the Italians? Here we go.
If Spindle's on time, he's in a dominant position again. And he sure looks to be on time.
Prada Cup semi-finals, race 2 is a go, and it's a clean start by both these teams. But again, Rossa leads the way.
So disappointing from American Magic. I mean, Deep Rock just didn't engage in the battle, and I think, Kenny, you might be right. Their boat might be just too difficult to put where they want to put it in that pre-start.
I don't know what to say. I mean, we love him, we respect him, but Dean Barker does not have a good feel for these starts right now.
He knows what to do. He's a great match racer. I just wonder if he doesn't quite have the tools to execute what he needs to do.
On board with American Magic and see if we can hear in the tone of their voice what's going on here. We got to try to figure something out. If you're an American Magic fan right now, you got to be figuring something out. Doesn't look like Dean's on-board comms are working at this time, but we might get others.
Good performance. Yeah, good balance.
Getting up on the first leg of 8 in this second race of the Prada Cup semi-finals. Rossa with the 1 point already. Remember, it's the first of 4. Nathan, can you make anything out of why American Magic just seem to struggle at that start this time?
Well, I think Rossa put themselves in the perfect spot. Instead of going down and doing that double jibe on the pre-start, they actually went nice and high, jibed back onto starboard, and their time on distance was spot on. So Dean either had to lead the back and be early or follow the back and be late. So we're giving Dean Barker a hard time here right now, but I think it was more, he didn't really have many options because Rossa put themselves in the right spot.
The moment is 1 and in left gate.
Yeah, copy. Easing here. Go. Easing.
Yes, all good. All good.
Stephen are really happy. We heard Nathan saying how strong that right-hand side was, especially at the top around North Head, and they're just ushering their opponent towards that side. Could not be happier where they're placed.
Easy leg. Nice.
Hey, Marana. On track.
Tack around onto starboard to go through this first gate, and they immediately say easy lay. The Americans seem to have gone a little bit beyond their lay line. Again, just giving up kind of valuable meters all over the race course right now.
Yeah, agree.
Rossa, Prada Pirelli around the top gate for the first time.
2, 1, clear.
Nice and easy. The words of Francesco Bruni, but not too far behind this time. Race number 2 is American Magic as they approach the gate. 18 seconds was the margin in the first race at this particular point. Gee, it's almost identical. This time 17 seconds, but we are expecting an improvement from American Magic. Let's see what they've got.
What a great leg Rossa had there. I mean, 300-meter lead.
Yeah, not a lot of pressure inside.
Yeah, come here, right this out there. It's a good one here. Down by. 3, 2, 1. One down.
Haven't they? They took some heat. They took some heat in the local press. They took some heat from the sailing world. They took some heat, period, in that last race. There's a lot of people thought they should have won against Ineos in that round robin series because it kind of felt like the two helmsmen were arguing.
I spoke to Vasco Biscotto, who we saw in the feature this week, and he said there's 60 million people in Italy. 59 million of them have become experts on how to sail a foiling monohull. And interestingly, we've seen a lot of him actually communicating, with the afterguard of Prada, and I think They have really
Yacht
worked
up.
on that this week. Who says what, when?
Building spin.
Real precision in the decision making.
Let's go on board Luna Rossa. Have a listen and see how they're feeling about this race is rolling right now.
10 seconds to the line, guys. 10 seconds. Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
My rudder
Easy. No lower.
and my trev.
Okay, clear. Clear.
There's just not much in it, right? I mean, usually when we lay out here and we want to listen to the commentary from off the boat, there's a lot of chatter. It's just they're quiet. I guess it's easier when you're winning. There's no question about that.
Luna Rossa, Prada Pirelli storming towards the bottom gate for the first time in this second race in the Prada Cup semi-finals. Coming in at just over 40 knots. Whoa! That's racing on the edge.
You could see that sound coming a mile away.
Now, what's that done to the lead, and can American Magic, as they go around this bottom gate, capitalise?
It's so much safer, isn't it? Getting two boards down, it just looks a lot more controlled. And what a game for the American team. Right back in its team.
Just when you think it's safe to get back in the water, right?
Nathan, what went down on that rounding by Luna Rossa?
Yeah, it's obviously a massive leeway skid coming to the bottom mark there, but I think what happened was it was a bit soft at one moment as they entered the bottom mark, so the boat unloaded and lifted out of the water. These boats pretty hard to keep on rails, and I'm surprised Luna Rossa seems to be the only team not doing these two boards in the water roundups. You saw American Magic dropping their board to help them go around the mark that time. With just that one board, it's really hard to control the leeway, and if you get the heel wrong at all, you drop down, and you know, a slight change in wind strength can really unsettle you. You see it here once again. Looks like the board lets go, they jump. But, you know, it just shows you how hard they had to sail. But they've dropped a bit of the lead. They've given American Magic a bit of a sniff to get back into this now. See if American Magic can take advantage of that mistake from Luna Rossa.
Stephen, their lured foil was half out of the water. They kind of did a partial fly, you know, they a breach, and boy, you lose grip and things can go bad very quickly.
Good pressure here.
So we are on the third leg of 8. That's 4 laps of the stadium course, the preferred course for racing in the Prada Cup. Stadium course where spectator craft can get around. And it's just, when you look at the virtual eye, it really does give you a really good sense of being a stadium and getting that close-up look. It really is magical pictures.
I mean, I've been out there most days, Stephen. It is electric, this race course. It's exactly what Grant Dalton wished for. It was his dream. This fantastic sailing area surrounded by fans. Turquoise water. What more could you want?
Let's try and build here. Go, lads.
Support.
The weather out here is starting to get... Sorry, Stephen, I just wanted to jump in there. Both boats did 2 really bad tacks on the right-hand boundary. It's starting to get really puffy out here. You know, I think there's a lot more to come in this race. It's starting to get a right-hand shift and breezes coming over north-hand, so that right-hand side's looking quite tricky all of a sudden.
One and in right
Jumped
gate, I think.
quickly on the teamwork in Luna Rossa. Prada really wouldn't hear about a bad tack. Let's go on board Luna Rossa.
Pressure here. I have your ley line here.
Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
I'm not sure if he said it, Stephen, but he said, you know, I have you on the ley line. They have software, they have a computer which tells them, you know, the geography, where they are on the course, and it seems to me like as each race goes by,
first.
Get the helicopter above the mark.
Yes.
Do you hear us on the TV? You got to move the helicopter.
He's very up, but don't worry. Good pressure here, guys, from the beltway. Pressing a little bit.
Jimmy Spittle directing from the helm. And our helicopter gets out of the way. He's not happy about that. And there she goes. Heli 2 is away, and Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli rounds the top gate and completes leg number 3. Some of us have been accused of directing from the floor before, as well as they call it this game, but Luna Rossa around the gate.
Not much in it, and the Americans had a good leg. They're not doing anything crazy right now. Obviously, they were in phase. In this shifty condition, Shirley, you can't split for the sake of splitting. You have to split at the right time when you have the right wind shift, or you get doubly that far behind. It's really, you got to be patient.
Be patient, Stephen, and pounce when you get the opportunity. That's the key, and particularly on this race course at the top end of it, it is right hand favoured. More pressure, tides, all going for you.
American Magic Dean Barker and the helm haven't been able to capitalise on that splashdown at the rounding at the bottom gate. They've lost 3 seconds on 25 seconds of margin now. They're on the downward leg, which is leg number 4 of 8. Let's have a listen to Dean.
Cross in. Yep. Use it all. Whenever you like. Yeah. More yellow here. 2, 1, more down.
Short shot coming on here, 2. 1, buff 1.
Go, boys. Nice left shift here.
You see right turn, but it's going to be hard to get in.
Voices of
I think it's going to keep selling fast.
Barker.
Agreed.
Yeah, agree.
Andrew Campbell.
He's showing header above you.
We don't think
Showing
we
header
have
with pressure at the moment.
the microphone working.
And
We've
he's
got
got
our
a little
technician,
lag
in between
Terry
us and that.
Hutchinson, but you can tell these guys have been working on their comms as well. Surely that was
Tide's
also
not
a
helping
big,
you here.
I guess an understatement to say that the sailing world was reasonably critical of their onboard commentary during that wipeout.
Yeah, and whilst their boat was in the shed, they actually went match racing in conventional keel boats just to get that conflict, flowing really, really smoothly. So that they haven't been idle when the boat was being repaired. They've been fully working on those criticisms, and we were seriously asking questions about how they were making the calls.
I think we go straight to left gate.
Copy that.
Go 7, so quite neutral.
Yeah.
Eagle breeze, Eagle.
About to complete the halfway stage of race 2 in the semi-finals of the Prada Cup, and it will be Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli around the bottom gate first. They've had their moments already in the early legs of this race, but the rounding is clean. Away they go on leg 5.
Stephen, they were listening to you guys. I think Shirley said it at that last gate when they had such a skid. Why aren't they putting both boards down? If they think that's a problem, there they did. They went and did it. I don't think they had to do it. They just did it.
We're loving the eagle. That's what they call that maneuver. Both boards down at the lure gate.
And let's be quite blunt here, they were listening to Shirley, right? Listening to Shirley. American Magic around the bottom gate. They are halfway through their second race. Not the tiniest of roundings, but they're back up and flying. 37 seconds the margin now.
I know I never ask you this, but what was the time differential between, did they gain or did Luna Rossa gain or lose? Oh, there we go. Well, see, I don't like this mates. I don't like how the boat responds to the mantle, and they have been a dominant downwind boat this whole event, and not with this mates. They've lost, I think, on every run today. So
It's going to go soft here. Be careful.
Kenny, it was a massive call. I mean, the forecast was for the wind to drop. It's very patchy as well. There's moments where you need power. A massive, massive call to go with the sail choice today.
5.
Turning. shift here at the moment.
Yeah.
Really nice right shift work. Working up here.
It's median on him, maybe slightly left.
Yeah, placing it up into the now.
So you're on board American Magic. Let's go on board the boat that's leading by at least 555 metres. That is Nuno Rossa, Prada Pirelli.
Some shiftiness out there. They're in a big left-hander, and Parker thought they were in a right-hand wind shift.
Good performance. Pressure slightly increasing.
Yeah, increasing. Pressure coming, 2, 1, pressure here, bravi.
Stand by, guys.
My English is cutting right. Pressure rising crazy, surely.
Down. Perfect.
I don't know about the pressure, but they're fast on this upwind, gaining all the time. The boat looks like it's on rails. I mean, that's a massive gain in this leg too.
Looking like one of them right.
Copy. Easy gear.
Jimmy Spittle.
Nice 90.
Trying to build a little
has been, some might suggest, rather quiet today, but they have, and maybe that simply comes out of the fact that the way they are performing.
A little skid there for a second.
Like a potential big lift here on the red mark.
We saw Spithill
trying to build,
bang a hard left turn. I think they kind of lost. Their grip for a second.
Gonna go past this.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Pull that back in on a replay. We'll see,
3, 2, 2, 1.
What happened. Just as you were saying, he looks really calm. He gave us a
My rake, my trap.
Keko, he's down in. Keko, he's near North here, just so you know, okay? You got time, mate.
Again.
Just to keep an eye on him. Just got to keep a look. Oh, you're on clear. He's tack.
Yeah.
My trap.
Stand by better way, boys. Keep 5. 3,
Course. 2, 1, clear.
good pressure.
Rossa, Prada Pirelli around gate 5 with a geography lesson from Jimmy Spittle to Francesco Bruni. The two-helm on this magnificent, sleek, very smooth boat is simply called Nuno Rossa. And away they go down on leg number 6.
They're talking about that situation, Stephen, very carefully, because you think about it, we're always talking about closing speed. That is actual closing speeds. When the boat on starboard tack, this boat is coming upwind, and you round and you're on port tack going downwind, you literally have closing speeds of 80 knots. That's almost bow to bow. So they're just doing their own play-by-play to make sure that they don't get themselves in a sticky spot.
American Magic completes a leg number 5 as they get around the top gates.
Okay to come down.
Finally they get around it.
7.
Slow down there for a moment. It's
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Gap City has lengthened to Nuno Rossa, Prada Pirelli, 37 seconds at gate or leg 4 now, 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Big right shift here. Keep coming, boys.
We're on the same angle on opposite boards at the moment. Just be aware it's real wild.
Big wind shifts, hey Shirley. That's what Andrew Campbell just does. They're going the same direction as Nuno Rossa right now. And a wipeout at the same time.
Was that sense of deja vu? Same spot almost.
Exactly the same spot. I mean, Nathan flagged it. It's quite choppy on that right-hand side, looking upwind at the top of the course. It's exactly the same space as they wiped out previously.
Anytime. Board's already in.
I don't know. It doesn't feel like they own it. Like they're not right. It's not as controllable as it has been.
But does this come as any surprise to you?
It's hard to say. You know, they've been talking a great game all week, which they have to do. They've had an absolutely fantastic leader. I think Terry I think Terry has done a great job at just keeping it together with the team. But the boat is skittish. Again, I hate to keep harping on this mainsail, but I think the mainsail loses control, helps them lose control.
In 3, 2, 1, more down.
So, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli completes leg number 6.
More coming up.
And again,
Hold on.
on rails, as Shirley Robertson has quite succinctly said every time. Rails and around they go. Not a hint of, to use the word we're using a little bit today, skittishness at all on that boat.
Nice
They
landing
went
here.
two foils at that lower gate again. You called it.
They're listening.
They're listening to you.
But you know, Kenny, they haven't really been pushed, have they? You know, from the get-go, they've sailed their own race. You know, are we seeing massive improvement from before? Well, it all looks a little bit slicker, but do we really know?
It's a very good point, because we talk about performance of the boat. Are we seeing them dominant because American Magic's not at peak performance? And how much then do we read into this?
I think anybody watching this would say that American Magic looks a little off kilter today. There's no question about it. I don't think that is anything against what they've done as a team and what they're trying to get back done. But they don't have much time here. Down 2 zip if this continues as it's going. They don't have much time. You better get it together quick, fellas.
Well, it's the first of 4 that will meet Ineos Team UK. The first team with 4 race wins goes into the Prada Cup final. American Magic do not want to be packing up at the end of tomorrow, going down 4 zip to Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. So they're going to find something. If this race continues the way we're seeing it, it's going to be a late night.
And they continue to look forward and play the wind shifts.
American Magic about to complete leg number 6, the bottom gate. Both foils down. And around the bottom gate they go. 1 minute and 53 seconds to the disadvantage.
Nathan, this is becoming a real trend going around this leeward gate is both boards down, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. You saw how painful it is if you get it wrong with just the one board down when Luna Rossa went round the first time. But ever since then, both boats have been doing it. And we saw Ineos doing it in the round robin series, and we saw Team New Zealand doing it, you know, back in December as well. I think it's to do with this leeway control, and you know, if you can control the heel of the boat with both foils, then the trim's less critical. So you know, big control with both boards in the water. As we approach the top marquee, just a little weather update. It got soft for a couple of laps there, and we saw the smaller main on American Magic was definitely making the boat quite hard to sail and kind of looked really underpowered. So they might be back in balance, but for sure, Kenny, I'm 100% with you there. That smaller batwind main's not just smaller, it's also a lot flatter, which is making the boat really twitchy and difficult to sail.
This is the penultimate leg in race 2 of the Prada Cup semi-finals. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli won the first race comfortably, and it looks at this stage they're going to be comfortably in a race 2 and go to a 2-0 lead at the semi-final stage. I remind you again, 4 wins, and you've got time to think about facing Ineos Team UK in the Prada Cup final, which is 1 step away from the big show. That is the match, the America's Cup. Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli into the top gate for the final time.
Please 3, 2, clear.
I'm coming, boys. Full stream. Big push.
Stephen, it is windy. The top right-hand side of that course, you know, and picking that right-hand mark tactically is absolutely the right thing to do. But potentially go around there in a big gust. It's all on.
Good. Quite straight.
Well, I'm sure there was one thing that American Magic would like to do around that gate for the final time to get it right. Again, after the last rounding, which was was, again, that poor touchdown on the gust.
Guys, not to harp on the negative here, but American Magic haven't won a race yet in this event, right?
On the no, you're right. On the flip side, we could actually say that these will be the first two genuine wins by Rossa Prada Pirelli.
Okay, guys, stand by.
Because of a DNF and a capsize of their opponent.
Okay, that's fair. All right.
I mean, we
Have we
don't
light out of
yet
this,
know the
boys?
full
We're good for
story
power.
of what's going on that boat
Definitely light.
right now. But for me, I guess the most disappointing thing is they didn't get
Am I
stuck
right?
in at the start. You know, it didn't feel like there wasn't any aggression in it. They're saying that we don't know what's going on, what demons, they're fighting, what gremlins are happening in the boat, but something is a bit off.
Yeah, this is a bit of
Really solid putt for the Spearway.
No question about it.
Top gate for the final time for American Magic. Virtual Eye giving us a spot of the stadium course and the surrounds of this Waitemata Harbour on another wonderful summer's day here in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. And away they go, last leg. Whoa, and again. My goodness, Shirley, is this the same spot?
Something's not right. I mean, the boat's letting go, there's cavitation. You can hear it in Dean Barker's voice as well. It's on the edge. The boat's in control of that.
Same spot almost.
Plenty of wind on that right-hand side.
Yeah, coming at you.
In the meantime, it's all bella, bella, bella for Rossa Prada Pirelli as they complete this final leg in race number 2 of the Prada Cup semi-finals. This is a huge fillip for this team and this organisation who are pretty much down in the dumps for a long time thinking, why should we be at this point? We should be in the Prada Cup final. Well, they've made a big statement going forward. They are now 2 races away from being in the Prada Cup final. Rossa cross the line, win race 2, go 2-0 up against American Magic.
Nice and easy, boys. Here we go. Plenty of ease. Plenty of ease. Nice one. Solid, boys. Really solid. Good show. Good show.
Rossa Prada Pirelli. Some of the weight must have been lifted off the shoulders of this whole organisation with 2 dominant wins in the first 2 races of the Prada Cup semi-finals.
In a huge way, and they're patting the boat. They're patting the head of the dog, right? When it comes over to snuggle with you. Just
snuggle?
Yeah, well, that's the 12th crew member. You know that the boat is part of your family. That's you honestly you live and breathe with that boat as if it was the 12th crew member.
You could taste the tension in that camp this week. This today has been a massive relief.
That's nice hit.
This is American Magic on the final leg, but again at the top mark, they have trouble. And was it in the same spot, Shirley? I've got to ask the question because they seem to get around it, then lost it.
I think it was a grip again, that rudder grip, and if Nathan was near it, maybe he can give us Nathan's good at calling the spray off the rudder. They're just gripping, and all of a sudden just maybe got too high on that foil, Shirley. They might have gotten too high and started, cavitation and actual air around the foil itself. Let's see if we can see something. A little heel to windward, which...
Ding it, go, 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 go. Rudder here.
Lost the rudder here, Dean Barker, right? Dean Barker lost the rudder here. Seems to be everything was under control, so they might have still some fundamental issues in trying to control this boat right now.
I think it'll be 2 legs clear.
So that's what? 3 times
Three seconds.
3
Good job.
times today that American Magic have struggled, but that man there on helm, Dean Barker, gave us you the explanation of what happened there. They
come down, no
lost
problem.
the rudder on the final mark after the final mark running. It wasn't going to cost them the race because they're already well in the reverse to Rossa Prada Pirelli. It is going to be a long night.
Stephen, you know, we were all shocked by the size of the hole from the capsize, but in many ways that was the least of their worries. You know, everything had to be looked at, replaced, you know, all the systems, the electronics, a massive, massive job. And to me, Patriot 2.0 is not the same as the Patriot we saw pre-capsize. This is a tough day for this team.
I love a good story.
Here we go.
I'm not giving up on Patriot after this response. I'm not a sailor, but we know how good these men are on the boat. And Patriot, American Magic, finally crosses the line to complete race number 2 of the Prada Cup semi-finals. 3 minutes and 7 seconds, the advantage to Rossa. It's been a tough day out on the water for American Magic, but we can go right back to race number 1 and say one thing. This has been a celebration of a team that many thought 12 days ago, January 17, they were out of it. They are not out of it.
They're not going to think of it that way, unfortunately. They're going to think of 2 race losses. And like you said, Shirley, this is a group that is going to come back fighting mad tomorrow.
Here is the final result for race number 2 in the Prada Cup semi-finals. Rossa go 2-0 with a 3 minute and 7 second win against Patriot.